So CTM stock is one of the top defense companies. It's really small and not a lot of attention that we've been following as they've built AI agentic technology that's really been pretty impactful. The current position that we're in with this stock is that we are holding long-term positions, and I have seen it scale back here recently from about 160 back down to $1 a share, but it's been holding pretty well around $1 a share. Now, we trade CTM often. If you ever want to catch my entries, catch my exits, see what's going to happen with AI right now in these markets, the second link below, we got a special sale for you for Black Friday. And Monday's session is going to be packed. So if you want to be in the room while we break down plays just like this, I'd love to have you there at Market Open. Let's get into CTM. So when it comes to the CTM outlook, we've seen it go from 15 cents a share up to a $2.80 range before selling back down here into about $1 a share. Now the company has had some really excellent financials, which we'll go over. They are also in the agentic AI market, and the big beautiful bill for spending on defense tech is most likely going to benefit them. So one of the things you got to look at when you're looking at CTM is the market of defense. They're in a market that's similar to Big Bear AI or Palantir, but they aren't a hyped up stock. In fact, if we pull up this stock, we go to some of the news, you can tell there's basically no, that's not even the same Castellum company, that's a different Castellum company in the news there, but there's basically no news on this company, which I like. And when we're looking at the market, we look at the financials, but we look at the real world usage. They've had real world usage, and they're based out of Vienna, Virginia in the United States. And their market cap is very small. So I would urge caution. They're under $100 million market cap, which is tiny compared to other defense companies. And that brings us to kind of the second stage of our analysis, which is we get into the financials. Let's take a look at the news, and let's take a look at the charts and see what's going on here, because we definitely have some charts to go over here in the near term. The first thing to look at here is that we could see that it's recently kind of sold down a little bit, and it's at the support level. We'll get into the charts, but ultimately, while they've sold down, they have also come in with really good earnings. So not only did they come in with increased revenue by 25% year over year, they are having very consistent revenues of around 11 million, 10 million when we started covering them here. And then into the year, they held 11 million. Into the summer, they got 14 million. And then in this last quarter, they came in with 14.6 million. But this last quarter, they actually came in with a positive net income, which is great if you're looking at just the financials. But again, their market cap is pretty low, which means that there's some higher risk here. And so you got to be, aware of what's going on in the higher risk area of the market. But that being said, very consistent revenues, very consistent net income. And when you're looking at the balance sheet, we see their total assets increase quarter over quarter. So I like there's not hype. If you're looking at a stock and you are looking at the hype, what people are talking about, what everybody's telling you, it might have a momentary spike, but it's pretty unlikely that you're going to see long-term gains. It's pretty unlikely that you're going to see real value unless you verify these financials. And so when we get into the financial play with CTM, they've got pretty good revenue with a positive net income. And if they're making 14 million a quarter, which, about 60 million a year, that $99 million market cap is pretty low. On top of that, you look at their total assets, they're up to 46 million, an all-time high for them, and their liabilities seem to be at an all-time low. They're at 9 million. So not only did they surge in cash, they increased their cash by 550% and their assets by 60%, but they also decreased their liabilities. Now, the only thing you got to look at, equity, 36 million, that's not bad. They're making 60 million a year. So in theory, on paper, they're undervalued right now. Volume is fairly low, so we haven't seen institutions jump in. If you see any big institutions jump in, they're going to probably invest around, more than 100 million. You're probably looking at a couple billion or something like that. if they really see a lot of value in this company in the long term, which I believe it's got that institutional attracting value. Even when we saw it spike back earlier this year up to around $2.50, that was huge from, just 20 cents. But really, it was only about 150 or 200 million in volume from institutions. It was nothing. And you just kind of seen this gradual market cap build, and it's stabilized around $1 a share. So what I like about the company, and this is why I hold it long term, we got an 87-cent entry point back earlier this year when we started covering it. And we've been covering it for the last year. Is that when you're looking at the news that they've come out with, is that you have to understand, if you're looking at a company and they have a big market cap, 2 billion, and their revenues are a couple million, and they don't have a lot of partnerships, or they haven't seen a lot of contracts or big deals, that's probably an overvaluation. But if you're looking at a company like CTM, they've got some contracts related to Agentic AI for the government. They're working with the Navy, and their CEO was previously in the Navy, and then they got $100 million contract with the Navy earlier this year. You could see that right there, February, $100 million $100 million contract, which is greater than their current market cap. That's why their financials look good. But then on top of that, we were having this conversation. They get this contract back here just a little while ago for $100 million. And the CEO was previously in the Navy. So the fact that they signed this cybersecurity / intelligence surveillance deal with a division of the Navy here, you can see it was Naval Air Systems. It wasn't a surprise because that's where the CEO used to work. But then when you take a look back and you're like, okay, that's good. Can they continue to actually get contracts like that? Because that's because of the CEO, right? That's where he used to work. So it makes sense. Like, you do a fundraiser, you go to your grandma first, you go to your family first, so people you got good deals. And the conversation was from February until today is that we saw them get some new contracts, we saw them reduce their debt and raise some money. But I was saying, hey, are they going to continue to get other contracts that are worth money outside of that place where the CEO previously worked? And then that's exactly what we saw. So then October rolls around, end of October and into this November, they sign a $66 million contract here for another department in digital engineering integration, and logistics. This is maybe not the most exciting way for me to say it, but it's a Department of Defense contract. Simply put, the facts are they signed this $66 million deal. They got another $100 million deal earlier this year. So they now have about over $150 million in pipeline that they're getting paid. $150 million, their current market cap's under $100 million. You do the math, they're looking way undervalued, as especially they just signed this $66 million deal. So that's kind of the news. That's the financials. That's where things start to tie into. Now we look at the chart and things start to make more sense. If you look at some of the projections from AI, we were just pulling up, we could look at Grok here over the next year. You could see the targets here are into over 20%. Grok is fairly bearish over the next week, but bullish over the next month. And if we go and we pull up, let's say, OpenAI for Castellum Inc., let's take a look. You can get another view into what we got going there. Let's see, I just refreshed it. Okay, so again, short term, maybe a little bit bearish. OpenAI is bearish. And why is that? OpenAI seems to be bearish. We take a look at Gemini or Claude. Claude is a little bit bearish on the next month. And we'll take a look at the next time frames. But let's take a look at all the time frames maybe here at once. I'd like to get an idea as well. It says that there's that resistance there around the $1 price point. That's what we'd be wanting to watch according to the AIs. let's take a look at what we maybe could see from all the AIs at once. Claude is bullish. In fact, Claude projects them to hold over 18% annual returns, resistance around 125. It makes sense if you're looking at just the technicals. Stabilizing around this $1 price point is the first level. So the target that they're at right now, if they're at $1 a share, next target resistance is going to be right here around $1.15. Support is rising and at around $1 a share. So $1 support, looking to recover up into $1.15. If they do that from here, you're looking at about a 5 to 10% increase. They will face resistance at that $1.15 range. And if they do break out, the next target would be up to about $1.30, which would be a 26% increase from here. Now, the overall trend could indicate something like this. We get back to where we were in February. That would be a 58% return. Or you see actual institutional money jump in, then you're going to see a 1 to 5x where this stock could surge more than 100%. They're conservative. They're saying it's stabilizing around that price point when you look at the average of all the models, with Claude being extra bullish on the company. But when you look at the top transactors and we look at the actual insider information that we can get on the company, we might have a little bit of a different story. So if we look at the insiders from Castellum Inc., they don't make up a large portion of the company, but you did have the president selling. You had the CEO buying more shares recently. Institutions have more buys than sells. So institutions indicating bullish momentum. Insiders are also selling just a little bit more and maintain a small amount of ownership. Primarily, it's institutionally owned, okay? And it looks like the top owners of this from an institutional standpoint are Vanguard, you got Jane Street Capital, you have State Street, and BlackRock holding 127K, not a massive amount. Vanguard holding about 1 million shares there. So you see more buying from institutions and indicates confidence. That's all we can really say about that. So again, I think, there is that possibility they drag themselves out further and maybe even slowly sell down to, 85 or 75 if attention doesn't continue to stay on the stock. But I think with their Agentic deal and then also the 66 million recently, they got a good financial pipeline right now. While they're not pretty, they're not hyped up as far as their website and everything else. I think that 150 is probably the next target, $1.50 for CTM. So I'm in it. I've been in it since 87 cents. We're up about, 15, 20%. But I've been up more than that at one point, over about 60 or 70%. And I would anticipate we're going to see this $1.25 to $1.50 range in the future. That's some of the targets we got. Now we're going to see if it holds this $1 range. It will depend on some of those things, and we'll keep you updated here on the channel and also over in StockMate. If you want to tune in to our daily live trading sessions in StockMate, there is a bunch of investors that tune in every morning. You get a link in your email. All you have to do is check it 15 minutes before the market opens every day. I send it Monday through Friday. You get the link, you get into our live session. It's not here publicly on YouTube. It's a private session. And if you'd like to join us there, get a free t-shirt when you join and our targets for the week. It's the second link in the description for the daily live trading in StockMate. Appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.